What's going on, everyone? I just went and saw The Equalizer 3, the third installment of the Equalizer series, or as I like to call it, the Threequalizer. And I think they really should have called it that. Starring Denzel Washington. He's been in all three movies. It's interesting when I think about this series. I just watched the first two within the last week for the first time. I'd never seen either of them. Um, and it's, you know, Denzel Washington, one of the probably most famous actors that is within, our generation. Obviously, he's, older than me, but um I just the amount of work that he's done in Hollywood and stuff like that. But when you think about his career, what's the movie that you think of, or what are the set of movies that you think of? Like, for me, it's Remember the Titans, but I don't think that's his best movie. And then I started trying to think of it, like go through his filmography, and I'm like, okay, Training Day and Man on Fire are probably the two that most people would think of. Unfortunately, I haven't seen those. They've been on my list for a while, just haven't got to them. And then it's possible that these Equalizer movies are next up. Maybe Flight, because I'm pretty sure he got nominated for an Oscar for Flight. But I'm probably missing one. But those are just like off the dome what I think of when I think of Denzel Washington. But this is the third Equalizer movie. Robert McCall finds himself at home in southern Italy, but he discovers his friends are under the control of local crime bosses. As events turn deadly, McCall knows what he has to do: become his friend's protector by taking on the mafia. Um, Here's my thing with these movies. They're very boring. Like, they're not exciting. And, just harping on the first two for a second. Like, I get what they were trying to do. Okay, it's interesting that the first Equalizer and the first John Wick movie came out in the same year, because I really think like they have their parallels. Okay, you've got a guy who used to be in some form of, Secret Service type organization. Denzel's is the CIA. John Wick's is, what, I forget what that organization is called, but the Continental type thing. Except there's just so much more action in the John Wick movies, which I realize is asking a lot, but that's what these movies need, is action. There's so much dialogue in the Equalizer movies that just is just there. Like, and it doesn't really serve a purpose. It's Denzel's character like just talking to random people, and then that scene just means nothing for the rest. It's like, and I can kind of see what they're trying to do. It's like, well, you're trying to build his character up by making him seem like a loving guy and stuff like that. But that's not what these movies are made for. These movies are made to see bullets go into people and blood spattered on the wall behind them. That's what they're made for. And it's just like, I think Denzel's good in them, but eh. like like the second one, like, I think has kind of the most interesting plot out of the three, because it's a revenge type story where you realize his partner was the bad guy the whole time, and Pedro Pascal's in it, which he was probably a nobody when that one was made, although I don't know. But like, it's so frustrating to me watching this type of movie. You've got a fantastic actor, and it just like, it's boring. It's so boring. Like, I was just like, this third one that I just saw, like, it starts out awesome. Like, it's the scene that you see in the trailer. So, spoiler alert. But it starts out with him absolutely owning these Italian dudes or whatever. I don't know if I'm sure they're Italian. But like, and what he does is he, like, he's got a gun pointed at his head, and then he flips it, and then he shoots one guy, and then he pushes the gun into the guy that had the gun point. He pushes it into his eye, which is awesome. Gross, but awesome. And then he turns the guy around to the other guy, and he shoots the second guy through the first guy's eye hole. It's awesome. I mean, that's great. That's awesome fight choreography. It's gory. I get it. That might not be your thing, but like, for what this movie does, like, that's what I expect, at least. That's the most exciting part of the movie. Like, for an hour and 50 minutes, the rest of the runtime, there's just nothing. Like, it's just talking. He's making these relationships with these, like, Italian people because he's retired. And, like, it's just nothing. They try to throw in this, like, mob story, but they never explain that they're the mob. Like, and I get. Like, you don't have to say it, just show it. I get it. But when you show it and it doesn't make any sense, you need explanation. It shouldn't be that hard to, like, I don't know, like, show the bad guy and then you have your CIA buddies research and it's like, oh, this is who that is. Da, 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 da. And then boom, the audience is like, okay, I know who that is now. Like, it takes 2 seconds, but instead you spend your runtime with him at a coffee shop getting coffee and flirting with the waitress. Like, ugh, it's just annoying. And, like, Dakota Fanning's in this movie and she's fine, but, like, her character is useless. Honestly, just take her out and have McCall, Denzel's character, just do the job that she did. Because she, like, he secretly helps her by, like, calling her and giving her the information, and then she relays word for word, might I add, word for word the information that he just gave to her, like, partner. And then, the mission is solved. It's just, it was crazy. Like, it was like, she's just not. And then, oh god. And then I'm sure, like, none of the people that are watching this video have seen the Equalizer movies, but they try to throw in, like, a cameo of the 2, like, CIA agents that he worked with apparently in the past that they reference in the first 2 movies, and they're, like, gone. They're not in this movie, but Dakota Fanning character is their daughter. Like, yay. Like, that's why he knew who she was. And so it was just like, you're trying to make this like a cinematic Equalizer universe, but it just doesn't do anything. And it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating sitting in a theater for 2 hours and just being bored. I think that's my main point on this, is that it's boring. I'm giving it a straight 5, like 5 out of 10, because, like, it's not poorly made. So I can't, like, just absolutely trash it, but it's just boring. It's just boring. And honestly, those might be the worst types of movies, at least to see in a theater, okay? Like, you can see the garbage movies that come out and they're poorly made, have bad acting, have bad writing, yada, yada, yada. But, like, those, you're like, those make a memory for you. I'm going to forget everything about this movie, The Equalizer 3, for the rest of time. Unless they would have just changed the title to The Threequalizer, then I would have remembered it. But I digress. Three Equalizer 3, man. They should have just called it The Threequalizer. Equalizer 3, 5 out of 10 for me.